By the end of this episode, you'll discover the number one thing you must know before buying your first home. Welcome back to another episode where I help younger physicians decrease stress and increase income by transitioning from corporate to independent practices, even without any business experience. In this episode, you'll discover three things. Number one, the most important thing to consider when purchasing residential real estate. Number two, a physician program that could help you decrease your monthly payment when buying your home. And number three, why buying a home is not always the best option as a younger physician. So welcome to the Independent Physician Blueprint, where we help physicians decrease stress and increase wealth or generate wealth in this crazy world that we're living in. And today we're with John LaRocca, my dear friend John LaRocca. We've known him since 2014, and it's been a long journey for both of us. And we met, I think, I was searching for someone to help me sell my family home in 2014, I think it was around, and you were plastered all over the Tampa Bay market.
I'm out there.
So tell me what you do and tell us what you do. I know what you do, but I know that you are into residential real estate in the Tampa Bay market.
Yes.
And like I said, we were considering selling our family home, and you were just a great guide for me, and especially through my processes. So what are you doing these days, and how are things going?
Well, things are going well. I appreciate you having me on. Very honored to be here and get a chance to talk about what I do. But in 2014, I remember, I think you had reached out either through like Zillow or the Dave Ramsey or one of those different platforms that I was on. And you know what? My approach is a little different than most. I think, I try to really just treat people the way that I would want to be treated, and not look at somebody like a number. So when you reached out in 2014, you were looking at me for advice, and, I was just trying to give the advice that, I wouldn't want to give to myself as far as what that goes. And so we had some things that we both could relate to, and obviously the market's constantly moving and changing. So at that certain time, there was, certain things you had to look out for. So, that's the kind of advice that I gave during that time frame. And then I think the rest of the story from there, which I'm sure we'll cover. Yeah,
we're going to cover a lot because John has not only helped me understand when not to sell, because as a physician, we think that, we have a nice home and we can sell anytime because the house, we've put a lot of things into the house and the market's up, but sometimes it's not the right time. And you guided me in that process because I ended up keeping the house. But always asked questions. You were always available to ask questions, which I thought was really, really cool. And you're pretty busy. I know I see your name on the billboards, on bus stops all over town. And so how's business? How's things going?
Well, you know what? Considering everything we have going on, very busy. Lots of folks have been putting their houses up for sale. We had quite a big amount of growth in value through COVID. Things have kind of calmed down a little bit due to inflation. The interest rates had gone up, trying to get that inflation under control. But there is some good news on the horizon with that. So the rates have actually started to come back down a little bit. So we're seeing a little bit more buyers come back to back into the race, getting off the sidelines kind of thing. So it's been a very good year overall, really.
Are you seeing, I don't know if you focus on a group of people, but, our podcast is about physicians and helping younger physicians understand how to navigate the world after residency. So are you seeing, I know that USF is a pretty big medical school here.
Yes.
Are you seeing any residents or any physicians coming into the market that you hadn't seen before? You're seeing any growth in the medical?
I actually have seen quite a bit over this last year. Actually, I was even driving over here. It's so funny, the timing of it all. But I had a dear client of mine that I sold a home to 5 years ago. And her daughter just finished residency and had just relocated from Arizona.
Okay.
So she actually had just called me and was actually asking about the physician's loan. There's a couple, products as well that you could use, but she was asking me about that. And so I was giving her some details. But to answer your question, yes, there is a lot of people starting to influx over the last couple of years. We have multiple, medical facilities, as you well know, between Tampa General, USF, Moffitt. I've seen actually a lot of people go down to the downtown St. Pete area for some of the children's hospitals over there.
So what locations are they looking to buy? Are they looking in South Tampa? They're looking in this area in the Carolina.
It's all relative to where they land. I helped a couple about 4 months ago. They had gotten a position at one of the new Advent centers up in Land Lakes. So they were looking for something up in that neck of the woods, which was, the Land Lakes, Odessa, even Wesley Chapel area. So that market, Tampa, is actually small but big. So it just depends where they're landing where they're landing their jobs.
So they're basically looking for where they're going to be closer to the hospitals or closer
right,
to
or that, or access to a highway. I've had some that have been a little bit more experienced than others, or have been a little bit further along in their career, and they've looked for some waterfront property right on Tampa Bay, more in the South Tampa area, and they are more concerned with how close like 275 and the Veterans is to get that shot downtown to Tampa General or wherever they're working. So it's been a bit of a mix.
It's a location. I mean, it sounds like
it's always location, right?
It's always a location because, as like me, I just. If we fast forward to how you helped me, I was looking for a property, and because I had just gotten engaged and looking to move, and
the family was growing.
And you end up helping me sell Carroll residence.
Yes.
And then I bought this property,
right?
Which I'm surprised you had not seen before, which is kind of crazy,
right?
Because we built this 2.5 years ago.
It's been too long.
Yeah,
we've both been very busy, I think.
Yeah, and we're supposed to actually have a glass of champagne.
That's right. Yeah, there was some bubbly involved with all this that when it went down.
We may have some after this, but we'll see.
We'll see. The night is young.
But I had to find a place that was close to my job, close to where the kids were in South Tampa. So I definitely understand the importance of location. But you mentioned something about doctor's loans, doctor's financing, and I know I've had some issues because I actually borrowed probably too much money when I had first graduated, and doctors are offered 100% financing, no money down. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, they're really great programs that it would be a shame not to take advantage of. Really, I really focused on it recently just because I had some folks that had called me. So I got a great partner, and there's several banks that you can use, obviously, but I have a great partner, Frank Cotto with Lincoln Lending, and he just informed me that the new guidelines is you can actually borrow up to $1 million with 0% down now, and there's no PMI attached with that, which is wonderful. The other thing is they don't actually hold your student loans or your school loans against your debt to income ratios, which really helps the approval process and getting approved for the loan.
So, is that a good program? I guess I'm gonna.
I would say yes, because there's no PMI on that either. Typically, folks who are not in the medical field, for instance, if I wanted to get that same loan, I would have to put down 20%, not to have to pay that PMI. So
PMI is
private mortgage insurance. So that's an additional fee that the lenders take to govern the loan and securitize the loan. So that can be anywhere between $200 up to $1,000 a month, depending on your price point. So the fact that you don't have that monthly is a huge savings.
And so is that a government program or is that a private lending program?
I think there's both, but typically the options we run with are the private lending ones. I know that you can even do up to 1.5 million with only 5% down, and then I think actually even you can go up to 2 million now with just even 10% down.
Yeah, but isn't that putting you at risk? Suppose you have another 2008.
Well, it's all based on location. And we've already experienced, I feel like, a stabilization of the market because COVID really gave us anywhere between a 20 to 30% increase very quickly. So over the last few years, I think things have stabilized. I think values have settled down a little bit. So if you're buying in the right area, I think you'll be totally fine. And there is no writing on the wall of what happened in 2008, which was a bank problem. And, there's that wave of foreclosures that we don't believe is going to be happening anytime soon.
So what would you say, what would be some of the red flags for a young physician coming out in buying real estate?
Well, you want to buy something obviously in a good area. Location is always it. It's also important to get something in good condition. So maybe for somebody young starting out, maybe considering something that's a little bit of newer construction, where you know that some of the four major points of the home are going to be integral, more integral as far as the structure goes, roof, AC, things of that nature. Less out of pocket, hopefully, as far as that goes, and what's a
Would you push
budget
rentals?
for.
Would you push rentals for the first 3-5 years?
Would I push a rental
for a physician coming out?
Absolutely. It just all depends on what their financial picture looks like, though. If they're trying to get more passive, there's a lot of great programs out there right now. There's programs even called a DSCR loan, which basically counts the actual market rent of what the property will do to make sure that it covers what the monthly expenses of the principal and interest will be. And that's the way they actually derive the market value.
So you're saying for them to buy the rentals. I'm saying for
correct.
physicians to rent property instead of buying. Would you?
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood your question. You know what? If there's maybe some question marks on their position and maybe they're new to the area, I think a lot of agents will say it's always better to buy versus rent. I think it's okay to test drive the car a little bit. Yeah. Make sure this is somewhere maybe you want to, plant roots down in. Your journey is your journey. It doesn't have to go at any particular speed, but obviously the longer term option after you know that this is an area that you'd like, or if it's more of a starter home, even there's lots of variables. Yeah. If it was more of a starter home, Tampa Bay is always a great place to take that starter home and turn it into a rental. Mm-hmm. I don't tell just physicians that. I tell everybody that if they have the ability to hold on to their first home, it always makes a great first rental. Okay. But again, just depends on what your picture looks like. And that's kind of how I do it, right? I sit down, nobody has the same story. So you have to put everything out there and just see what makes sense to the individual.
Yeah. That makes sense because I know that some physicians, they studied, at least the research that I did, most physicians end up landing in their long-term job after the second or third job.
Okay.
So I think if you're moving into a new area, it might be wiser to just rent. But, like you said, if you can get a good deal on a property and then you're not there anymore, then you can rent it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think people find their dream home or their forever home probably in their second or third home, right? Because the first home is typically anywhere between 3 to 7 years for most folks. And then they normally try to upgrade and go through the progression. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, I always get the call when it's time to downsize as well. So it's a vicious cycle that we all probably go through. But Tampa Bay's are doing very well in the real estate market in general right now. I think we're still a top 10 city in the entire nation. So values have had very steady. Well, I mean, gosh, just an influx of a lot of medical, a lot of tech jobs have been coming into the area for quite some time. I know Amazon's made several big splashes, bringing in big plants. And just look at our growth. I mean, you could drive up to Land O'Lakes and Wesley Chapel 5 years ago, and you're looking at cow fields. I mean, now that you look at it, it's very well developed, and the area is continuing to explode.
And they're trying to expand the Suncoast Parkway north of north of Van Dyke.
Every other year, they're announcing new plans. They're going further and further.
I don't get it.
The West Coast is a great place to be. I mean, we have world-class beaches. Great medical, as you well know. Great downtown, sports teams, great schools if you're looking for that. Good place to be.
So what would you say is your sweet spot deal? Like what is your, as a realtor, what do you look for in a deal?
As far as to me live in or as an investment? What scope am I looking through?
As a realtor, as someone who is selling a property.
Selling a property. The right deal. Well, location is always important to me. Okay. Location. And, maybe with that location, depending, again, there's that scope I was mentioning, but, if it's a rental, right? If I'm looking through the scope, knowing that maybe there's some future growth coming to that area. There's a lot of areas that have, been a little bit older, maybe Ybor City, Seminole Heights, some of these areas that are slowly transitioning. That that the growth is continuing to push a certain direction. Mm-hmm. So anything like that's got great bones, that I know rents well off of a major highway or something that's got a pool as far as that goes. There's several good school districts as well. that make great rentals as far as that goes. So, yeah,
it goes back to location, really.
Yeah, location definitely in our area. And then really, you know what, sometimes even if you can buy the house at the right price, you know, in certain areas that, you know, was grandpa's house, or, you know, it's a strong structural house, but if you could put some, you know, sweat equity into, you know, and not too long amount of time, you'll be sitting on a pretty good equitable position as well.
Yeah.
So it just depends what's important to you. Some people like new construction with the tall ceilings and the turnkey outlook, and others, you know, like to put their own stamp on it. So it just depends what's important to you again, you know?
Well, this is great insight and intel for young physicians. I think, I think what we need to do is present physicians with the understanding of what they need to do when looking for a house, when looking to move, and location comes first, I think. And so what we like to do sometimes is do rapid fire questions.
Rapid fire.
So some questions, easy to hard, and we'll try to see what your thoughts are.
All right, let's see what you got.
What's your favorite movie?
Ooh, favorite movie? I would say a toss up between Godfather or A Bronx Tale.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm from New York originally. Moved down here to Florida when I was 5 years old. So definitely a Floridian at this point, but just grew up watching those movies.
New York accent though.
Yeah, a little bit. It's a little still there. Still got some family up there.
Okay.
You know, got a couple cousin Vinny's, couple cousin Polly's, things like that, you know.
I'll be nice to you today then.
Yeah. Please. Yeah. You don't want me to make the call.
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking.
Last book you read?
Last book I read. You know what? I'm having trouble with the name right now. I think it ends with us. Actually, I think it was the name of it, and I'm ashamed to admit this, but my daughter, I have a 16-year-old daughter, and she was into this little rom-com chick flick, and we went and saw this movie together. I think Blake Lively is the main character in it. She's a great actress, and it just talked about basically the movie was about basically just, you know, women or any person in a domestic relationship not to deal with domestic violence, and, you know, taking a stand and being brave. So I thought it was a great message for a young 16-year-old kid to hear, but there was a sequel to the movie that she prompted me to read. So I will admit that I read a rom-com. Yeah.
That's a sweet story.
Good book though. Good book. Recommend it to anybody. Favorite store
that you like to shop at?
Favorite store? Oh gosh. Probably lately, Travis Matthew. Been trying to get out in the links a little bit, and they got some really, actually, I'm actually wearing a Travis Matthew right now, but they just have some nice, breathable, professional shirts. You can take them right to an appointment and then get right on the golf course. So it's a great Florida wear for sure.
What does your daughter like about you? Favorite thing that your daughter likes about you?
You know, I think that she thinks that I'm like more of the cool dad. You know, she might tell you something different, but you know, I was blessed to have her at an early age, so maybe not as large of an age gap as some. But other than that, I think the one thing that she can always expect out of me is I always follow through with what I say. I'm dependable, consistent, and that's what I try to teach her to be.
Awesome.
And I think that's big for kids, and especially little girls.
Yeah, consistency is key.
And they need their dads.
And dads are their first love.
That's it.
As well. So.
Trying to lead by example. We're not perfect, but you know, we try our best.
What time do you wake up?
I'm a 7 a.m. guy.
Okay.
Either alarm clock or not, it's 7 a.m., whether I like it or not.
Favorite buyer type?
Favorite buyer type?
Favorite buyer type.
So for me, you know, it's probably a little bit different. But I like actually somebody who just knows what they want. And some people might take that as rude. I do not. I actually love the fact that somebody can just walk in a place and say it's not for me and turn right around. Or if I send them something, they tell me they hate it. That's fine. I'm a quick learner. I would much rather somebody not worry about sparing my feelings and us getting down to the brass tacks of what they want.
All right. One spiritual habit that you practice?
Prayer every night before we eat. You know, that's one practice that you know, I got into with my parents, you know, growing up. And that's one thing that I've tried to instill, you know, with my daughter to be grateful at the end of every day and to thank the big man upstairs.
Awesome.
Yeah.
One thing that you would tell a physician that they should do in real estate?
Just to buy real estate, invest in real estate.
Okay.
It's the most proven method to method rather to build wealth. It's been proven time and time and time again. It's okay to test the market like we had talked about earlier, but the most proven way is to own assets that you can touch and you can feel, that appreciate, that you can write tax write-offs on. There's just so many benefits.
Your superpower.
One
thing that you would say, someone else would say is, John's really good at this.
My superpower, I think, is just maybe taking into consideration how people feel. And I've always done that. And that's how I've treated everybody in my business, is I always try to take a step back and put myself in their shoes and just try to make decisions based on that. And if it's something, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, but if it's something that I would want for myself, that's what I try to do for my client.
Okay.
And the golden rule, you can call it many different things, but yeah, that and just my ability, I feel like, to pick up on what people are feeling, or what's the word? Help me out. Empathy. Just being able to really maybe read people a little bit when it comes to, I have people that are on the fence of making a decision, for instance, on a house, right? And I can maybe tell that maybe they're rushing into a decision, and I shoot my own self probably in the foot sometimes by just having them step back, slow down, sleep on things, make sure they're making the right decision for them.
Who's going to be the next president?
Oh gosh, after that last debate, I don't know.
That's a common answer. I don't know.
It's so close right now. And typically I don't talk to politics, but gosh, I don't know, Jude. That would be like a total coin flip. There's still a lot of time left. Yeah. And I've noticed, between the assassination attempt, the first one, rather, now since there was a second, God bless him, I'm glad he's safe. Yeah. There is definitely no room for political violence in this country. We need to get that definitely under control on either side.
Yeah. And I think there's a battle going on. I think there's a spiritual battle going on, and there's good and bad.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of evil that's being put forth here, and I think we need to kind of look towards the other side, because God doesn't say there's a middle ground. It says they're either good or evil. So we got to figure it out as a nation, as a people.
I just hope whoever gets in, we're at a very pivotal time, and whoever gets in, I just hope that they are making the right decisions, because we have some things to deal with. That's for sure. So if I had to call it right now, I would say that Harris probably has the edge. Yeah. So we'll see, though. We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah, time will tell. Time will tell.
Well, thanks for coming on. And if you have some time, I'd love to talk about commercial real estate and investing for physicians.
I'd love to jump on with you.
All right.
Let's go. I appreciate it. All right.
We'll be right back. So what you learned today is that the most important thing to consider when purchasing real estate is the location. You also learned that there is a physician lending program that could help you decrease your monthly payment when buying your home, and why buying a home is not always the best option. Sometimes it's best to rent. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If you'd like to hear more, subscribe, follow in your favorite podcast app so you'll never miss an episode.